Hi and welcome to the Indulge podcast with me, Romal Laishram. And like every week, I'm in conversation with someone amazing where we talk about something related to art, culture, lifestyle, and the world of entertainment. Today, I'm in conversation with Abhishek Poddar from the Museum of Art and Photography in Bangalore. Let's head right into the conversation. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Roman.
So let's start from the very beginning. MAP has been here now for almost a year and it's become a part of the Bangalore cultural scene. But what was the initial idea? How did you decide to create a space like MAP and what is the whole purpose behind it?
So it came from this point of missing having great museums to go to. Though I didn't grow up in Bangalore and I grew up in Calcutta, to see great art or great exhibitions, one really saw the best ones overseas.
Absolutely.
And it was quite a shame that even though our museums had the most amazing things, why weren't they telling the stories the way they should be told? And with India coming of age and being the best in so many things, why should the museums be left far behind?
Absolutely. True.
Most people would rarely go to an Indian museum, but they would queue up whenever they went abroad. And we said that needs to change, and we should all be able to see great exhibitions and hear amazing stories about art in our own country. So it was just that, to make that happen, that the idea of MAP was born.
Nice. So now you 1 year old.
One and a half years old.
1.5 years old, and as I said, MAP is now definitely on the map of Bangalore. It's a place that we all look forward to visiting almost every week whenever a new exhibition is here. Since you're right opposite the government museum, and that's a very different kind of a museum. You're completely focused on art and photography. What exactly would you say is the kind of art you curate here?
So this is a museum on India's visual culture, really. There are 6 departments. The reason we chose to put photography in the name of the museum is, A, it's a large part of the collection, and very often people did not really think of photography as art.
Absolutely.
So it was to put that to rest.
Or curatable art for that matter.
Yeah, so I think it's broadly divided into modern and contemporary art, photography, classical or pre-modern art. There's living traditions of folk and tribal art, and there's textile craft and design. So it's across these mediums and across these genres. Some shows talk only about one subject, whereas our permanent exhibition, Visible Invisible, has works from all the 6 different departments in it. We strategically chose the location to be across the government museums because we felt that people who are already coming to those museums can just walk across the road and they don't have to travel far out. Because we don't really have a museum going culture in our country, to set up museums which are not easy to access, far outside the city, might be easier to do and more economical to do, but it would take a lot longer for people to get there, and it would be one more reason to not go. Which is why we chose a smaller building and a location, but to be right in the center of town and situated it here.
Super. So 1.5 years since you've opened, what is the kind of crowd that has been stepping into this place? I mean, the problem with a lot of buildings like this, like for example, you have a government museum on the other side, which is a known, it's a familiar kind of a building. It's old, it's run down, it's whatever. So people seem familiar with the idea of that kind of a museum. But it's new, it's snazzy, it's contemporary, it's all kinds of things. So have you been able to break into all the economic stratas? Have you had people coming into the museum from different economic groups? Or how has it been so far?
So you're right that there is a familiarity to the old and what's already existed, but of course, for that matter, even if we looked run down, but we would still not be familiar because we haven't opened. I hope we never look run down. I think we are serving every section of society. And right in the beginning itself, even before we opened this up to VIPs or have a special celebrity come and open the museum, we really had our construction workers who came in with their families to see the museum. Accessibility and inclusion are very dear to us, and we embrace both those values very seriously. People with disabilities, all kinds of languages, all kinds of gender, race, sections of society are all embraced over here. Uh, we have 27 languages on our app.
Lovely.
Everything that we have published here is both in English and in Kannada. We have Indian Sign Language interpretation for all our programming.
Really amazing. Considering the fact that you're split over quite a few floors, if someone was coming to MAP for the first time, would there be an order in which you would kind of encourage them to look at the different exhibitions, or just do whatever you feel like doing?
It's funny, I generally start from the bottom and go up.
Okay.
But very often I've seen people start from the top and go down. I guess because they always find climbing down one flight at a time is easier. So they take the lift right up, they start from the terrace, they go out and see the installation there and start working their way down. I always do it on the other way, but I guess there isn't a story which is linking in a particular order in terms of how you should do it, but everyone can do their own way.
Now, coming to your exhibits, I know for a fact over the last 1.5 years, some of them stay longer, some are much shorter, some are permanent. So, how do you define how long a piece of art or an exhibit stays here?
So, to tell you in a nutshell, we have only one permanent installation, which is on the terrace, what you're seeing outside here, the Aisha Singh installation. Everything else has a duration. Yes, some shows are shorter, some are longer. The shows we do on our ground floor gallery, which is the Infosys gallery, is between 3 to 4 months. So that has about 4 changes every year. We have 2 galleries on the 3rd floor, which is the City Gallery and the Access Gallery, where it generally changes twice a year. So that typically becomes 4 exhibitions a year. Sometimes a show is large, so it spills over to both the galleries, in which case it would be one show, but it's happening in 2 spaces. Our permanent gallery, which is on the 4th floor, which is the Manipal and the Avni gallery, that is generally on for 3 years at a time. And that's the one which is visible, invisible that we spoke about. The sculpture courtyard changes once a year. The big installation in the lobby could be between 1 to 2 years. Then we have the wall which is painted outside, which also has a similar thing. So everything has a different.
So it's amazing. Someone can come here, and at any given point of time, there are close to 6 to 7 exhibits for them to take a look at.
Not just that, we do almost about 15 events every month.
Amazing.
So even if you were to come in twice in the same week, the idea is that you have a different experience, even though the exhibitions may not change. But to add to that, we have the Saskin Multimedia Gallery, which is a gallery on demand. So you can choose the exhibition you want to see.
How nice.
And it could be a different one every time you come in.
Super.
Similarly, in the visual storage, the Jindal Visual Storage Gallery, we've got about 50 exhibitions in the different drawers, which I think opens soon at the end of this month or something. So you can again choose to see whichever one you want to see.
That's fabulous. 1.5 years down, what are the learnings that you've made from a city like Bangalore and the kind of space that you curate?
I think I'm still learning, so I can't say that there have been something that I've known for sure. I think you've got to make stuff that is going to draw people in. It's not always what you feel you like is what you should be doing. It depends what community you're wanting to serve, who you're wanting to be a part of the museum, and different things speak to different people. And fortunately, I'm not the curator. I would have done things differently. I would have looked at different shows. And I'm glad that we have this fantastic team which addresses all these different needs of different people. And because we also, our team includes all those kinds of people, that we have the ability to think like the audience we want to serve.
Amazing. I'm in conversation with Abhishek Poddar from MAP, and this is the Indulge podcast. My last 2 questions to you: what can we look forward to from MAP in the next year? And something that I think a lot of listeners always ask: how does one break that, a self-imposed kind of a stop that people put when coming to spaces like this? Because the assumption to a large part of the population is it's going to be too intellectual, I'm not going to understand it, it's going to be way above my head. How do you think a regular person can break that misconception in their head?
So what was your first question?
First question, what can we look forward to?
Sorry. We've got an exciting year ahead. We have the next exhibition that opens is Krishna Reddy, the printmaker. In fact, it's going to be his centenary year. He is also an artist who came from near Bangalore, from Madanapalli, and has taught an entire generation of printmakers. We were very fortunate to get a large collection as a gift of his work, which we are showcasing here. Then we have Jairam Patel and Tariq Karim Boy in conversation. Their works are in conversation with each other. A lot of them are the wood blowtorch kind of works. We have an incredible collection of textiles done in India for the Sri Lankan market and the Indonesian market, trade textiles. And I think a lot has happened about Indian chintzes going to the western shores, but very little has been done going to the eastern shores.
Right.
So there's a show about that. We have Art is Life, which is our annual festival coming up towards, I think it's the first weekend of December. And that opens with a show on the mica paintings in the collection, which were again done as souvenirs for the English. That's about as far as I can remember right now. Then I know we have two other interesting exhibitions opening in the first quarter of next year. One is on the Manik Bagh Palace, which we are doing in collaboration with an important German museum. And we have an incredible show on the textile labels with 2 books coming out on that, which is I think in March next year. So that's what the calendar looks like. There's lots of programming around every exhibition, and even besides that, a fair amount happening. In terms of how do we get people in, and I hope the building doesn't look intimidating to anybody, but I do understand that some people just feel that art is not for me. I don't think it's the building that does that.
True.
But it's the perception that people have about art.
Absolutely. And a perception that was built over the last.
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to change. Fortunately, we opened as a digital museum, and the digital barrier is a much easier barrier to cross because you're doing that in the comfort of your own home.
Absolutely.
Without being conscious as to how you are going to be perceived, because it's a journey that you're making by yourself without anybody else being present over there. And for a lot of the people who now discover anything digitally or through social media, that helps in breaking that barrier. And because we became a digital first museum, hopefully that would not come in the way. In terms of the number of people we've been getting has been great. I think in our first 10, 11 months, we crossed over 100,000 people. Considering it's not a museum going culture that we have, we were happy with that number. We are always looking at having events and more people. To make it accessible, Tuesdays is a free day at MAP, so we don't charge for anything. And whatever is charged becomes free. All our programming is free. All our festivals are free. All our openings are free. All our education is free. So besides paying people to come in, we do whatever we can.
Thank you so much for giving us time and having this amazing conversation with the Indulge podcast. I think let's end on a note where we encourage people in cities like Bangalore or anywhere else when they visit the city of Bangalore to come and check out MAP.
The whole point of this is to expose them to art, to make it accessible and to make it enjoyable. We aren't trying to preach as to what art is. We want you to make your own story, to make your own connection, to have fun with art, and in the process, hopefully get curious and learn something.
Fabulous. On that wonderful note, we'll end the conversation. Thank you so much for tuning into the Indulge podcast with me, Romal Laishram. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Romal. Thank you, Indulge.